it looks like we do have a leak. I'll drain out in my sleep. This is going all wrong. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and let's get right into this video. Merry Christmas, everyone. So this is the finale to our nail week. I had to save our most extravagant nail set for last. We are finally doing snow globe nails. It is finally that time. So before I started, I actually did do a practice nail because I wanted to see exactly what method I'm going to use to do these, how it's going to turn out, what kind of glitters I want to put in it. I made this first nail. I feel like it's pretty good. The only issue though is my big snowflake that I have in there. It just gets stuck so easily. It either sticks to the top or it sticks at the bottom. So as you can see, it is a nail tip still. So I used my really C-curved nail tips. You're gonna see exactly how I do it later, but I basically took my C-curved nail tip, placed it on a layer of rhinestone glue, cured it, and then I trimmed off all the excess on the sides. I had to use some sculpting gel to seal this end of the nail tip. And then for the tip, I just also used a layer of rhinestone glue and I stuck it on the top and then cured that. So this is kind of where I got my initial sort of understanding of how to do these nails. I saw this way on TikTok and I did follow this way for the most part, but I did also change some things. First of all, she used a full cover tip and I didn't have any good full cover tips, so I changed it to a nail tip, and obviously that made me have to do other things to finish the nails. But for the most part, the way I did the nails was very similar to this tutorial. So I just wanted to give credit to basically where I found how to do these nails, and this was kind of my guide for them. And also if you guys wanted to follow the way that this tutorial did it, because I did do some things differently, so I thought this was good to show you guys also. So it is sealed, no oil is leaking out, and I feel like it is so cool. Like, it reminds me of those glittery phone cases that have the liquid in the back. Like, this is what that reminds me of. So yeah, this was my first attempt. I think I might make some slight changes, and also the way I'm gonna stick these on, I'll show you better later. I don't want to stick it on like flat onto my nail, because then I'll have to put a whole other layer of polygel on top of the entire nail, and that's just going to make it thicker. I'm going to have to shape it, which might risk making a leak on one of these sides. I think what I want to do is adhere these with polygel, stick this on like this, where there's like a gap. I'd fill in the rest of the nail with polygel, and that way the polygel will come up from the cuticle and then blend with this seam. Sorry, I know, bad representation, but I will show you later. Let me just stop talking and let's get into these. Okay, so here are the nail tips I'm using. They're from NotPolish, and I'm using these because they are very C-curved. They have a lot of space for us to fill that all with glitter. And when I was sizing out the nail tips, I picked a size bigger for each of my nails, because the way I want to put these on, like, it's going to be higher than my natural nails, so I think I just need to make them bigger. So I'm going to leave them this length. I want them to be nice and long. So I think the first thing I'm going to do for all these nails is file the tip of it and make sure it's nice and straight, and also make them the same length, because of course the thumbnail is always longer than the rest. Okay, so all the tips are ready to go. So now I just have one of my mixing plates wrapped in a Ziploc bag. So this is where we're going to lay down the rhinestone glue and then basically make all of our casing for these tips. So I'm just going to take some rhinestone glue and I'm just going to make a thick layer, kind of like long rectangle shape, long enough to fit the nail tips. And I'm just going to make a really decently thick layer of this. We want it to be thick enough that it seals around the edges of the nail tip, and we don't want it to be too thin that it possibly doesn't connect very well. So I have my layer on there. I made it as even as I could, and now I'm just going to stick on the nail tip, but I'm going to leave enough space where I could still glue it on my nail. So I'm going to make a little gap. I'm not just going to put the whole tip on here. So I'm placing that down. Just going to cure this, I guess. That's kind of what I did for my first attempt. I just kind of went for it. I feel like it turned out pretty good. So I just quickly cured that a little bit, and I'm just going to cure it in my nail lamp fully. Okay, so now I'm going to peel this up. I'm just trying to be careful so that it doesn't separate from the nail tip. Okay, so it does kind of have the pattern, like some of these little ripples, it did kind of show through. I'm wondering if that's gonna matter too much. I feel like if I just put top coat, it'll be fine. If I put top coat, is it gonna like, okay, yeah, it looks pretty smooth with the top coat. Okay, so once we put the rhinestone glue, I just like to check the sides and make sure that everything looks sealed, which I feel like it does. Now I'm going to take my nail clippers and I'm just going to clip off all this excess on the side. Kind of makes me nervous to do this because I'm afraid if it like disconnects from the sides or something. Okay, now I'm just going to file the sides a little, just a little amount. All I'm doing is making sure that the sides are smooth. Okay, so I feel like that looks pretty good. So I'm going to seal this part near the bottom of the nail tip, and I'm going to be using some sculpting gel for this. Don't judge me for the tools I'm using to touch this stuff. I don't have one of those like rubber tools, and I don't want to touch it with my gloves because it'll just stick to my glove. And I'm going to smooth this out and make this flat and kind of thin. Okay, so I'm just going to get this piece that looks like it'll fit this part, and then I'm just going to place it on there. Get off of my tweezers! So before you stick that on, it's probably best that you add a layer of slip solution onto it so it doesn't stick to the tweezers. Did I already say don't judge me for my tools I'm using? Because look, I know this looks crazy using a rhinestone pencil, but it works. Put some isopropyl on here, make sure it's not super sticky, and then I'm just gonna stick it. Oh, how did I do this before? I don't even remember. You know, that looks pretty sealed, I hope. I'm just gonna make sure that these edges are lifted so I can trim them off easily, and I'm going to cure that. Okay, so that is sealed. I'm going to trim off the excess. And to make sure that it is sealed and good, I'm going to put some more rhinestone glue on top of this. Like, I just want to be sure that they're nice and sealed. I do not want to be leaking oil from my nails. Like, can you imagine that? Okay, I feel like that is good enough. So I'm going to cure this again. So I hope that is sealed enough. And that is basically our nail tips for our snow globe nails. As you can see, these C-curved tips have a very good amount of space in there to add all of our glitter. So before I do any of the glitter, I'm going to do that same thing to the rest of the nail tips. I don't want to have like a glittery mess and then have to do that process again for all the nails. So I am going to repeat all of that for the rest of the 4 nails. Okay, so now we are going to get into the fun part, which is filling the nails with all the glitter. So I have a chunky glitter, some iridescent chrome powder, and I also have this finer glitter. And then I'm going to add in some silver caviar beads, maybe gold, because I think they're like mixed up in here. And then also some snowflake glitters. And then for the oil that you're supposed to put into the nails to make everything move around, I'm using some cuticle oil. This is a really old bottle, but it is clear. And we want to make sure that the oil that we're using is clear. And then to put in the oil inside of the nail tip, I'm using a syringe. You know, my younger sister had this. Don't ask me how she has this. I don't know. What I'm first gonna do is put in a little bit of the cuticle oil. That way the inside of this can be not sticky because, you know, the rhinestone glue is sticky and I don't want all the glitter to just be stuck onto the back and at the bottom. Uh-oh, it looks like we do have a leak. I am not sure from where. So the leak is definitely coming from this corner here. So I'm going to try and clean this and wipe this off the best I can. And I'm just going to reinforce this. Oh, I see there's a huge gap right here. You know, it's a good thing we put in some oil first because that thing would have been leaking. Okay, I'm going to put a little more oil back in this. Now I'm going to add in all my glitter. It's like, I would be super nervous to wear these because I do want to wear these really badly, but I'm just so nervous. Like, what if it springs a leak? What am I going to do? I don't want to add in too much, but also I do. Next, I'm going to add in some caviar beads. And adding the caviar beads is actually really good to help mix up the inside. Sometimes the glitters will get stuck, and then if you shake it around, the caviar beads help loosen everything up. Not only are they good decoration to add in here, they actually are very useful. Okay, now I'm going to add in one of these little snowflakes and also these even smaller ones. I don't want to overfill this with too much, so I'm hoping that is good. We're going to get our seal ready. I'm going to use some more rhinestone glue, and I'm just going to put a small little square here. And we want this to be thick so that way it can really like seep into the tip. I'm going to take our cuticle oil syringe and fill this up. Okay, so you want to make sure that you are leaving an air bubble in the nail tip because the air bubble is what's going to make the glitters move around. And it is a little bit cloudy in there. I think it's because of this blue chrome shimmer, and then when you mix it in, it kind of just makes the oil like a little foggy, but also does have that blue shimmer in it. So I don't really mind it. I did do that for this tester nail, and this nail looks pretty clear. I think, you know, once that settles a little bit, but also I think for the next nails, I'm just gonna add a little bit less of this. So now that this is filled, the way I seal the top of this is very questionable. So basically, I'm going to take my rhinestone glue and then I'm going to flip it on top of there, and then I'm going to cure it with my nail light, but I have to hold my nail light in my mouth, so I'm not going to be able to show this. So I just quickly cured it with the nail light to at least make sure it was stuck on there. Now I'm going to fully cure this in my nail light. Okay, now I'm going to trim off all of the excess rhinestone glue. Okay, so that's the best the top's gonna look for now. I will have to shape it a little bit after. This is how the snow globe nail looks. I definitely put too much of this shimmer in there because it is pretty cloudy. Luckily, this is the thumbnail, so she matters the least. So let's do that same thing for the rest of the nails. Okay, so we are done with all of the tips of the nails. Now we're just going to do a little bit of nail prep before I stick these on and do the polygel. I'm just going to scratch up the nails a little bit using my fine grit sanding band. I'm going to put on a peel off base coat though, so I'll be right back after I do that. Okay, so to apply these, I'm using some clear polygel, and I do have to say I don't really know what I'm doing for this part. My plan is I want to adhere them like this. I don't want to put the tip all the way down on the nail because I want to be able to just fill in this gap with the polygel, and then the nail will have like a correct looking structure. So let's hope that that works. Okay, so the nail is stuck on. Obviously, I need to fill in the rest of this gap down here, but you know, it kind of worked. And it's so much cooler having this actually on your nail. I'm going to finish filling this in. I'm just going to put a little bit more polygel at the cuticle. Okay, so here is the nail with the polygel on. From the side, it looks pretty good. It looks normal from the side, honestly. The only thing that looks weird if you look at it straight down the tip, but who's gonna be doing that? I'm looking at my nail from the top, might get some glimpses of it from the side. For the rest of this nail set, I am going to be drawing a French tip over this to obviously conceal this separation between my natural nail and then the snow globe part. And this is just so cool. I want a whole set of these, but that's gonna take me way too long. Just doing the tips has taken me about 3 hours, and the underside of the nail, the only actual gap on my nail is where my nail growth is. It's not too weird. It doesn't feel weird underneath. Doing it this way isn't so bad. Also, I haven't seen anyone do it like exactly like I have, because this way is a little weird. Moving on to the next nail, I'm gonna do that same thing. I'm just putting a huge glob of the polygel on the tip of the nail, and it needs to be pretty thick so it can fill the height that it needs to reach. Hello, it is the next day. So from what you last saw, I don't know if I included it in the vid, but what I last did was I was starting to do the nail art. The nail art it wasn't looking right. I just needed to take a break. It was like 4 in the morning as I was getting to this stage of the nail set. So I was like pretty over it at that point, and the nail art just wasn't working. So I want these to be perfect. They're our final nails for the Christmas season. They're the most extravagant, coolest nail set we've ever done. So I want them to be perfect. So basically, I think think a few problems with this nail set. I feel like the nails are just too skinny. They don't look that bad, okay? They're not that bad. I just feel like they look a little toothpicky. The next thing that is like really bothering me is that the ring finger and the pinky nail are so much shorter than the pointer and the middle finger, and that's probably because when I put it on the nail, didn't shove this down as much, and that's probably because when I glued them on the nail, they each had their different stopping points of the snow globe part. And also this thumbnail has a leak in it. I'm surprised it didn't all drain out in my sleep, and this one is so cloudy. That also bothers me a lot too. I don't know if I'll fix it because, like I said, it's the thumbnail, so yeah. And my next problem is I don't know about this nail art. I know that I have to cover up this part. It's just not looking right, whatever I'm doing. So I think my first order of business that I want to do, put a full layer of polygel on all of these nails. I know these are going to be super thick, but I'm okay with that. I just want to fix this toothpick looking problem we have. Well, actually, the first thing I'm going to do is seal this hole for the thumbnail. It's like right at the corner here. I just heard a cracking from underneath. Oh no, the sides is leaking. This is going all wrong. Reinforcement time. I accidentally squeezed the back of this too hard and it cracked. It's like, this is a dangerous game wearing these nails. I think my execution is just not the best, probably. To cover up my natural nail part, I think I'm gonna do an ombre. And like I said, these nails are gonna be thick. It is what it is. I don't mind. So I'm gonna put a really small amount of this at the cuticle area of my nail. And it's like, I don't wanna use too much, but I also can't use too little or it's not even gonna cover up anything. The whole reason why I didn't really want to put any polygel on top of the nail is because I was afraid that maybe putting more clear polygel on top of the snow globe part would like affect it somehow. Maybe it wouldn't look as good. So that's why I didn't really want to put polygel on top of the whole nail. I think it's our only option right now to try and save these. I'm being a little dramatic. They're not that bad, okay? They're just not what I expected, and like I want them to be better, and I know that I could try and possibly save them. Okay, I think that's good. We're just gonna encapsulate it right now. I want to make sure that doing this has any sort of hope. Okay, this is definitely way too much polygel on this nail. So I want to put it on the next nail, but the next nail doesn't have the ombre on it yet. Pause on this nail and then do the ombre first. Okay, so finally this is my chance to talk to you guys in the voiceover, because after about this point I stopped talking like as I was recording the video because I was getting tired. So the first day I worked on these nails, I had worked on these from like 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. and then I went to sleep. The next day I woke up at like 2 p.m. I know my sleep schedule is like messed up. And then I started working on them around like 3 o'clock, and then I had to post my video. So then I took a break and posted my video and then came back, and then I finally finished these nails at around 8 or 9 p.m. So it took me 2 days. I think these nails took me around 8 to 9 hours split up over 2 days. So it doesn't sound that bad, but it definitely didn't feel great. But you know, this is a turning point in this video. As I was doing this layer of polygel on top of the nails, I was seeing the hope. I was seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Like I keep saying before, they weren't bad before the polygel layer. It's just not what I like in a nail. I don't like when my nails are too skinny. I just don't like that look. So I would much rather have another layer of polygel on there, make them look a little wider. Even though it's gonna make the nails extra thick, you know, I'm accepting it and I'm okay with it. But I think doing this ombre on the nails, it definitely helped me to put me on the right track to do the nail set that I wanted to do, the nail set that I was expecting it to be. I didn't really know what I was gonna do for nail art at this point, but I just knew that with this ombre, like, we had hope. Also, I wanted to mention that I think next time when I do snow globe nails, I would probably just glue the nail tip directly onto my nail and then just go over the whole nail with a new layer of polygel. The problem with this set is that I didn't want to put a whole new layer of polygel over the nails, so I did whatever I did earlier in this video, but I see that that doesn't give the look that I like. So for me, I would just glue the snow globe nail tips on my nail and then put that whole new layer of polygel over everything. Based on the way that I did these, I think that will just be way easier. Okay, so here's how the nails are looking after all of the polygel's on, all of the tips are on. This is all of our hard work so far, and I think they look so cool. The snow globe is just crazy, incredible. I don't know who thought of that, but whoever did, it's literally genius. So now we are just going to get reshaping the nails. This part I had to be super careful because I didn't want to file too much on the sides and accidentally break the seals for these nails. I did not want to deal with leaking oil anymore, so I mostly just filed the surface. I took down as much bulk as I could without really taking much off, and then I really stayed away from the sides of the nail and the tip of the nail. If anything, I just did really light filing, but overall adding that new layer of polygel over the entire nail, it really saved this nail set for me because honestly I was giving up. I was giving up after that first day. Okay, so shaping is all done. Now we're going to get into the nail art. So our first step is to cover every inch of these nails in top coat. I'm putting top coat on the top, at the tip, underneath. This is going to be our final layer of reinforcement. And on the ring finger, I'm putting charms in the middle of the nails, so I just added some rhinestone glue and just added on the charms right now. So now we are going to do the nail art. So here's the nail art design that I got my inspiration from. First, I thought I was gonna go with a similar design as that TikTok video I showed you guys, but in the end, it just was not working out for me. I went with this design because I liked that I could do all of this nail art and the background still be visible and everything, because obviously our main thing with these nails is the snow globe. That is the main attraction. So I really tried not to cover up the tips as much. So on the pointer finger, this one is going to be a French tip outline and then outlining the whole nail and then adding on some icicle nail art. And then covering all of that in glitter. And then for the middle finger, this one is going to have snowflakes on it. This nail art that I'm showing you right now is my first attempt, and I wipe it off and do it again because these snowflakes were a little big. I just did it a second time and then made them smaller. And then on the ring finger, I just did some corner snowflakes on the nail, and I really like this. I feel like it added a really nice border and it just filled in the empty space. And also at the tip of the ring finger and the pinky nail, I have that clear extension. I don't know if I mentioned this. I extended those two nails a little bit because I said they were shorter than the other two. So I just added some clear polygel at the tip and then I molded that to extend the nail just a little. So we do kind of have to cover the tips of those because it is basically a clear line there. And I'm sorry, we just skipped right over the thumb. Thumbnail was just, everything was going wrong on the thumbnail, so I don't really like her, but we're not going to talk about it. So finally, we're just going to add on some cuticle oil. And here are how the nails turned out. Let me know what you guys think of these snow globe nails in the comments. This nail set was crazy. Everything about this nail set, the process, the design, like it was all so extravagant, and I think this is probably the coolest nail set I've ever done, in my opinion. I seriously could stare at these nails all day long. The snow globe part is just so cool. Like, I can't get over it. I think we're gonna have to be doing snow globe nails like every season now because these are just incredible. So this nail set was a long journey. We did have some trial and errors, but in the end, I am super happy with these. I love the design. I think everything came together in the end, and this is probably my favorite nail set we did this month. I did mention in one of my other videos that I would be ranking my top 3 nail sets from our nail week that we did. I think in third place for me, it's gonna be the duck nails because we've never done duck nails before and it was such a cool shape to do and I actually really enjoyed them. And then second place, I'm gonna do our Christmas Eve nails, which were the pink sweater nails with the cracked ice nail art. And then first place, of course, is gonna go to the snow globe nails. It just has to be. It has to be first place. So please, I would love to hear your thoughts on these in the comments. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Merry Christmas, everyone. If you celebrate, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!